Hey guys, it's Kevin DeSilva here with the Living in Los Angeles channel, and I always ask this question, when is the best time to buy a house in Manhattan Beach? Well, let's find out. And before we get started on the video, make sure to hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications so that you can be the first to learn about our videos and how to implement these strategies in your living situation. So, you know me, I am all about making my clients money. And a huge factor in making wealth through real estate is when you purchase your next home. Now, the best time to buy was 10 years ago. If only when I first got out of college, I had a bunch of money and I could go buy a house. But the next best time is now. Now, the market has been different since 2022. It's been a slow climb back because of these stubborn interest rates. But that doesn't mean things haven't happened. And for the first time ever in 2025, we have broken through the ceiling that 2022 set. So that said, let's take a look at how to make more money on your purchase by buying at the right time of the year and what that actually looks like. Now, prices in Manhattan Beach are astronomical. I mean, most of the general public are not buying a home in Manhattan Beach. You're lucky enough if you're renting a place in Manhattan Beach. And with some apartments in El Porto and around downtown and over by Polywog Park, there are some decently affordable condos, affordable. But for the most part, living in Manhattan Beach is a luxury. And it's a luxury that a lot of people can't afford, but because of your hard work, you can. So let's talk about how to make the most of your purchase here in Manhattan Beach and really how to guarantee your success moving forward. All right, so the first thing I want to look at is when is the best time to buy, right? So typically speaking, we want to look at months of inventory. Months of inventory are essentially where you take the amount of homes on the market, you divide it by the amount of sales, and that tells you how many months it would take to sell out the inventory you currently have. Now, new homes are obviously going to come on the market, but you're looking at a snapshot. If no other home came on the market, how many months would it take to sell out Manhattan Beach? Uh, and the higher the months of inventory means the more selection you have. It means that sales are not outpacing your new inventory. So back in the beginning of 2022 was probably the worst time to buy anywhere here in Los Angeles. There was a little over 1.5 months of inventory, which means the market was tight. People were buying, and anytime a new home came on the market, it probably sold. Most recently, last July, inventory hit a 5-month window. What does that mean for home prices? Well, when you have more selection, you get to be pickier. Sellers are competing for your dollar instead of the other way around in a seller's market where buyers are competing for the house. So if 25 homes sell in a given month and you have 125 homes to sell, then as a buyer, your selection is pretty good. Now, the bottom end is always tight, but the top end flourishes. The entry level is usually tighter than the upper level because there are more buyers for the entry level. This is true in any neighborhood. Manhattan Beach is a little different than other communities. Now, being in the suburbs, the fall usually gets soft, but people move at a different beat. They're a little less inconvenience. They move when they want to. So given the amount of appreciation we've seen in the last 12 months, which has been about 20% appreciation, it's insane. It's the best year Manhattan Beach has posted on record in decades. So given the fact that median home values have actually increased by 20% in just the last year, timing the market is going to increase your bottom line so that you can do some work to the house and guarantee more so that you're going to reward from that house. We're looking at the monthly average sales price of Manhattan Beach, and January, as a result of the fires in the Palisades, reported its strongest average price ever recorded, and that was $5.3 million. To put that in perspective, the next highest price was $4.7 million, and that was recorded in September 2024, and the previous highest price was $4.6 million recorded in 2023. So as we see here, every year we've been seeing a steady increase in the highest sales month. But one thing you will notice is that right behind every highest sales month has been a steep drop off. A few things can explain this. Like, for instance, in Manhattan Beach, after the fires, people started buying up homes because they were displaced and they had money and they wanted a nice neighborhood. They wanted schools and they just wanted somewhere to be safe. And so a lot of people moved to Manhattan Beach, hence the 20% median home price appreciation. But that said, a lot of homeowners who had been thinking about selling said, hey, if I could get these wild prices, I'm out of here. So then more and more people started putting their home on the market. Now, prices still have been steadily going up. I've been watching it. Homes around 1,800 square feet had been selling for about 1.8 a year and a half ago. And those same homes, not fixed up, could sell for 2.4 today. And on a low end, 2.2. There were even some recent sales of 2,000 square foot homes that sold for $3 million. When we see the prices skyrocket, they usually turn around at some point. Manhattan Beach is no different. In fact, as you can see here, the fall months typically see the drop off, but not guaranteed. The second highest price ever recorded in a month was September of last year, but it did proceed to drop off 30% in the following months. Now, overall prices tell one story, but then you have to look at the other story. Is the house you're going to buy actually cheaper? Because if more $4 million homes are selling, of course, prices in the neighborhood are going to go up. But what does that mean for your entry level home? What's the threshold there? Can I still get in for 1.8 million? And the answer might not be at this moment, but can you get close? Let's talk about that. So as you see here, I'm looking at the price per square foot. Now, what is price per square foot? Well, essentially, it's the cost for every little aspect of the home, right? So price per square foot is 1,000 square foot home costs $2 million. That's $2,000 per square foot. And if a 4,000 square foot home costs $4 million, and that's $1,000 a square foot. But as I just shared with you, 1,000 square foot home might be a 2-bedroom, maybe a very small 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom. And it's $2 million is a lot of money for a small space. But for essentially twice the money, you can buy 4 times the house. So let's look at this. This year, we've seen it skyrocket because more homes were selling at higher prices, creating higher price per square foot. And it was across the board. It was basically prices were going up, price per square foot was going up. As you can see here, massively setting the record in Manhattan Beach history for highest price per square foot, $1,818 per square foot. Since then, it has dropped off, but so has prices. So generally speaking, the best time to buy a house anywhere in Los Angeles really is over the holidays, but not quite the holidays. You really want to buy September, October, November. Watch out for September, just because you might get a little rush of people trying to buy with the school year, but typically those are closings. That sale started in August. So when you're buying in September, October, November, you're a little better off. You have people who maybe got their home on the market too late, started too high in price in the summer, didn't sell, and they're sitting on the market. And a lot of times they're trying to sell before the end of the year. If you can do that for them, they'll happily sell you their house. And a lot of times, because you have selection, there's fewer buyers looking at their house. Nobody's showing it up at the open house, or they aren't getting any private showings. You show up with a qualified offer and you can steal the show. Now, there's a threshold. At some point, they're not going to sell their house. But you don't know if you don't try. And that's where we looked at the months of inventory. Months of inventory are typically higher around the fall months because there are more homes on the market. There are fewer homes selling, so there's better selection, which means you have a better negotiating power. But as I just shared with you, the best time to buy in Manhattan Beach is right after a sick run-up. What do I mean by that? Right after you see property values just skyrocketing, they usually turn around into a correction territory. Frequently, it happens over the holidays. And what I mean by the holidays is, I mean the fall, early fall, late fall, and early winter, and then turns around for the spring, which is really the late winter and all of spring. And since we just saw Manhattan Beach experience a huge run-up in home values, this fall could be your answer on how to make it happen. Now, there are ways to get homes 30 to 50% under value. And if you want to look at that, call us. We'll connect you with the right people so that you can get into your next home at a cheaper price. But if you don't want to take on the risk of buying those kinds of homes, we do recommend connecting with us so that we can send you off-market properties and on-market properties with real sellers without the headaches of potentially having to evict somebody who's living in the home. Because at the end of the day, you want to be able to enjoy your house. And we're here to help you make that happen. It was a pleasure meeting with you guys again today. Please hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications so that you can be the first to learn about these videos even before we send them out in our newsletter. And if you want to be in our newsletter, go ahead and comment below and we'll make sure we get you added.